Mark Carney is a cowardly little kid. I'm going to explain to you why. So, the G7 was held in Alberta. Carney's major objective was to reach a trade deal with America. He did not. Trump left early to coordinate attacks on Iran, and Trump is still threatening additional tariffs. This feels like Carney sitting at the kids' table, pretending like he's doing something with the rest of the G7, while Donald Trump's throwing the world into chaos. So let's talk about the G7. The context we need before jumping further in is that Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran and has continued to attack them daily. Israel has so far killed at least 250 people and injuring thousands. 90% of the Iranian casualties are civilians. People who are just existing, living their day-to-day in a city. Shopkeepers, hairdressers, teachers. Tehran's metro area is 14 million people. For a Canadian comparison, the GTA is 6.5 million. It's a disgusting image to picture it happening in Toronto, just as it is disgusting that it's going in cities across Iran. So the G7 leaders, Mark Carney included, released a statement on the recent developments between Israel and Iran. Let me be clear. Iran also has its issues. It's a politically repressive regime. Iran detains and executes political dissenters. But Iran's repression does not mean Israel and America can bomb civilians without prejudice. Iranians are the victims of the regime and are the first to speak out on its repression. But when your country's attacked by a fascist state, domestic issues get thrown to the backseat. War is all-consuming. It's an ever-present threat. Let me give you a Canadian example. Imagine if there was an attack on Canada while under a Liberal government. I don't think conservative Canadians would cheer it on just to own the libs. They would rightly say, my political differences are real, but the most important issue is the destruction of Canada and Canadians. If that logic makes sense to you, you now understand how most Iranians will feel. So, with some of the context covered, here's the whole statement from June 16th. Quote, "We, the leaders of the G7, reiterate our commitment to peace and stability in the Middle East. In this context, we affirm that Israel has a right to defend itself. We reiterate our support for the security of Israel. We also affirm the importance of protection of civilians. Iran is the principal source of regional instability and terror. We have been consistently clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We urge that the resolution of the Iranian crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza. We will remain vigilant to the implications for international energy markets and stand ready to coordinate, including with like-minded partners, to safeguard market stability." We just had an election here in Canada. I think it's undeniable that Trump was the biggest factor. His 51st state rhetoric, the threats to Canadian economy. Canadians rightly think Trump is a bully who only cares about himself. And only a few months later, Carney is bending the knee to Trump by refusing to stand up for what is right. Cowardly Carney is completely out of touch with Canadians.
Why, you're nothing but a great big coward.
You're right, I am a coward.
I'm going to break down the entire statement line by line. So after Israel attacked Iran, one of the first sentences that they put out is, "We affirm that Israel has a right to defend itself." So Carney has reaffirmed Canada's support for Israel after it attacked Iran. I don't think Canadians are on the side of Israel. Israel is an apartheid supremacist state currently committing genocide that we can all watch on our phones. Every Canadian sees the man-made hell America and Israel have intentionally built in Gaza, a right to defend itself by sneak attacking Iran. For Carney, apparently, this is Israel defending itself. It's doublespeak. War is peace. Are the crimes committed against the Palestinians by Israel a form of defense? Is sneak attacking Iran in a way not dissimilar to Pearl Harbor, is that defense? The answer is obviously no, but the implication is that Carney thinks yes. Why doesn't Carney say that Iran has a right to defend itself against a hostile nation surprise attacking it? It's an interesting thing to leave out, don't you think? This sentence is of course good on its own, but it's not just on its own. This statement is completely empty because Israel has murdered the overwhelming majority of civilians since October 7th, 2023. But Canada supports Israel and has not taken any substantial action in stopping them from killing civilians. So who is this statement for? The next sentence reveals the answer. It is for Iran, because seemingly we only affirm the safety of civilians when they are Israeli. Carney does not care about Iranian civilians. Calling Iran the principal source of regional instability and terror confirms this upside-down thinking. It's saying the same lines that Israel is saying. Israel is attacking and killing civilians within occupied Palestinian territories, and it's attacking them and killing them abroad in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. How can we take seriously the affirmation of the importance to protect civilians when immediately after we ignore the truth and say, oh, Iran's the biggest source of regional instability and terror? That's fucking crazy. We have been consistently clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. First things first, Israel and America already have nuclear weapons. This is very important to remember. In March of 2025, Donald Trump's hand-picked Director of National Intelligence stated that Iran does not have, nor is it building, a nuclear weapon. In March, his hand-picked appointee.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. War criminal Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying Iran is at the edge of a nuclear weapon since before I was born.
He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
This is the exact same rhetoric that was used to go to war with Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction, they said. It was a lie then, and it was disastrous, killing upwards of 1 million people. 1 million people. Well, guess what? It's not just the same rhetoric, it's the same guy saying it.
Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
The invasion happens months later. No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq.
So why is Carney repeating war on terror, Iraq war, WMD talking points while saying Iran is the biggest threat in the area? A good question to ask is, why does he say Iran can never have a nuclear weapon? They might answer something like Iran would immediately nuke Israel and every Western nation because it says death to America, death to Israel. Why would they do that? Mutually assured destruction's still a thing. Iranians don't want mass death. They're not a death cult. Don't be ridiculous. What about Iran makes it so that Carney would think that it would make a first strike with a nuclear weapon? I don't think people buy that. The actual reason is because a nuclear-armed Iran would join in the mutually assured destruction structure. This would bolster Iran's sovereignty. That's the reason Carney doesn't want it. And that's why all the major Western countries are in lockstep. And just as a fun little reminder, the only country to deploy a nuclear weapon on a civilian population is America. And they did it twice. Well, Israel and America have been the roadblock to peace, whether that's in Gaza or Iran. That has been true for 21 months now. The Iranian government has been clear. It wants peace. Palestinians have been clear. They also want peace. America and Israel do not. Carney's words calling for a ceasefire have done nothing and have been a complete failure. The slaughter continues. His words mean nothing because Carney continues to provide military weapons and materials to Israel, some directly from Canada and some indirectly going through the United States from Canada. Our government's words have no meaning if they do not back them up with any action. Our government has just pretended to say the magic words of we want a ceasefire, we want a ceasefire, and they think that's adequate response to the horrors we're seeing. It's cowardly. Just to wrap things in a nice bow, they focus on the most important element, how much they're concerned about the impacts on the stock market. Let's break it down. So because Iran and the region around it produces massive quantities of oil, well, oil production can be stopped, sometimes with bombs, and oil production and shipments can also be stopped through blockades. Here, for example, in the Straits of Hormuz, where about 20% or a fifth of all oil travels through this strait. This will affect everyone in the world, including us in Canada. To me, ready to coordinate, including with like-minded partners to safeguard market stability, reads as Canada is ready to do anything to help stop a blockade or anything like that that would affect global markets. Does that include military intervention? I don't know. Global markets. are the priority to Mark Carney. That's how he looks at this. Not the Iranians, not the Gazans, not humanity. He cares most about the oil prices and market stability. His cowardly behavior has given the game away.
What have they got that I ain't got? Courage.
Carney has done nothing of substance to stop horrendous wars and genocide. You need to impose some type of pain on the party that's doing these crimes. If we just say ceasefire, 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 it's not worth the paper it's written on. Carney should stop being a little kid's table enjoyer. He should stop being a cowardly little kitten and meaningfully oppose America and Israel's wars of aggression. Thank you. Peace and love. Free Palestine.